Hello everyone, my name is Ryujin and I am sitting down today for RWBY Volume 9 Chapter 4. I don't know the episode title or runtime yet, I haven't opened up Crunchyroll quite yet for that, but just to get through the orders of business as usual, as always, the reaction itself is neatly marked if you scroll ahead, but I just want to take some time at the beginning of these reactions to talk about my thought process, as well as the end of the reactions as well. And I do have a Patreon. If you want to have early access to these reactions, you can sign up for that. And as always, please don't comment on spoilers for any episodes after the reactions that you're watching on YouTube, because by the time that this goes live for you, I will not have seen the next episode, so please don't comment on it. And lastly, I am so tired. It is 11 a.m. where I'm at, and I've been up since like 5 because I did my first 5K today. Shout out to Annual Pass, Rope Drop Running Club as well, and it's really taken the wind out of me. I might cough a little bit more than usual, as you just heard, but we're pulling through it because this episode is so far. I just, as much as I already knew I was gonna like Volume 9, and it's already proving that it's capable of being what I want it to be. Every episode just. It just keeps going on that path, and I keep getting more and more and more excited, and the episodes just keep getting better. They really do. They just keep ramping up and ramping up, and I don't think that we're going to get to the point of John this chapter. I also kinda don't think we're going to get any like major plot bomb or turning point for the chapter, or in this chapter. But I do think that it is going to keep on that path of RWBY, as well as of Blake and Yang. So, just to get into last episode first, before I get a little too ahead of myself, we met the Red Prince instead of the Red King. We are firmly in the sequel story of Alex, whatever mark Alex made on the Ever After. Now the heroes are really feeling it. And I do believe that Alex is still here in some capacity, or we are going to be able to see a lot through her perspective, and Team RWBY is going to get some kind of one-on-one with her at some point. I don't think we can really get through Volume 9 without having that. I don't believe that she ever left, or if she did, that she has to keep coming back in some capacity. In some form, she just still is here. That's the major theory that I'm kind of running with as we get through Volume 9. I saw one theory that the Jabberwocker is Alex. That would be pretty freaking cool. I don't think it is, but one theory that I'm more going with is that Alex is what is keeping Team RWBY on her path, right? The Team RWBY is going as close to Alex's path as possible when the Red King is gone, when Jinxie is older, right? So they're not able to do the exact 100% story, but they are going on like the 99% path of it. And I think that whatever, I don't think that it's like a mystical natural force that's keeping them on this path, but it is very much a character intentionally putting them on this path for whatever reason. Until perhaps Team RWBY gets to meet them, if that character is Alex like I want it to be. That's just kind of my main operating theory here. So we met Robbie Daymond, the Curious Cat, after the great Volume 1 era type of fight scene that Team RWBY has with all of the pawns. And the Curious Cat told RWBY, aren't you going to change? Like, you are going to need to change to get through this at some point, essentially. Which we've kind of already assumed, but here is the story actually overtly saying that that is going to happen. Outside of just, like, the writers talking about it at some point on like Twitter or in some convention panel or whatnot. Now, Neo is here with an upgraded semblance. The Jabberwocker took yet another L. This thing, its home is destroyed. Yang beat it up. Neo beat it up. It's not having a good time. And that's about it. And so to get into expectations for this episode, we are now headed from the Red Kingdom to the Enchanted Forest, but I do also think that we are also going to get this shot of RWBY in the colorful smoke that we saw in one of the trailers. I am going into this episode kind of expecting that scene because there aren't too many scenes from the trailer that we don't have yet. We are going to see the Cheshire Cat with Ruby on the lily pads heading to the Lotus Tower in the middle. That scene I think we're gonna get. And if only Ruby is actually in that smoke, that kind of begs the question of like, where are Weiss, Blake, and Yang? Maybe they were so tiny that we couldn't see them in that shot, but I don't think that they're actually there. I do think that Blake and Yang are going to continue to be off on their own type of adventure, kind of like they were in chapter 2 when they go ahead and don't notice Ruby sulking behind them. I do think that they're going to continue, like, that is going to be how the Bumblebee plot moves forward, the Bumblebee subplot, until eventual confirmation in this volume, because at this point, you're mad coping if you don't think they're going to happen. And as always, more nonsense. I want things that don't make sense, but they do in that they don't make sense. Maybe Jean at the very end of the episode, but probably not. I don't think he's going to be here. Alex, of course, not until even later. I feel like Alex is going to be endgame for the volume. And that is going to be it. I am going to get into Volume 9, Chapter 4, which is not... There's no... We're heading back into Episode 1. There's no title. There's no title for this episode, but it is 18 minutes long. That's fun. It's got the Curious Cat, so let's get into it. Dude, what if Alex got corrupted in some way? And whatever way Ruby maybe like whatever way Ruby thinks she needs to change is simply because she has this image of the storybook character in her head, and actually meeting that character in real life is like, oh no, if I stay on this path that I'm on, that is exactly who I'm going to turn out to be, and I cannot be that person. Like, Alex is going to set such a bad example that Ruby's moment of change is seeing what Alex has become and in no way wanting to be that person. I think that'd be pretty cool. Let's get that out of the way. But she's still here. There's no way they're not going to meet her in some way. They're just, yeah, they're still finding the Curious Cat. But they do meet them.
Excuse me.
Oh. Yeah, exactly. It's separate. It's separated. I remember this from the trailer.
Cat?
Yeah, that's so weird.
Curious Cat? Which one do you go by?
Oh, I don't go by. That belongs to the days and the years. But if you are asking me what I am, I do suppose I am indeed a cat. Most curious.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Look, my friends and I really need to get to that giant tree, and so far nothing we've tried has gotten us any further. It looks to me like we're even farther.
Yeah, I think that's because we're 6 inches tall.
Yeah.
It could be both.
Yeah, it could be little. Oh my god.
Of course. That is most definitely impossible. You do not go to the tree. The tree
goes to you, unless of course you're me. You see.
Not even a little bit.
I love that.
Well, that's your problem.
That delivery was great.
Perspective, I'm afraid.
But
Yeah.
couldn't you take us then? You've been there before.
So why would I ever want to go back? Yes, I'm glad we understand one another. No sense in seeing a sight seen.
No sense in seeing a sight scene. He doesn't want to go back.
When she was...
Or they.
Alex? How do you know her? Are you friends
Ooh.
of hers? Lifelong nemesis? Wait, don't tell me. Okay, no, tell me.
Well, we don't know her personally. Just
She wrote a
We
book
know
about
of her.
entire adventure in the ever after.
A book? Is it well liked?
It's kind of a childhood favorite of everyone's, where we're from.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
please, I simply must know more. What did she write about? How was I
Yeah,
portrayed?
everything.
Do I smell a mouse?
No, you don't.
From
You
one
don't.
cat to another. Could you give us a minute,
Hey.
please?
Oh, so they're spoken for. Well, please hurry. I have so many questions.
Yeah, of course you do. And just gonna...
They're not called the constantly annoying cat.
Got him. Totally roasted.
Thank you.
Guys, the curious cat was described as an
I don't know about that
with
joke.
an appetite for information. Just
Yeah.
because they don't want to go back to the tree doesn't mean we can't lure them there.
Okay.
Yeah, we could use that to their advantage.
Along the way. That shouldn't be too hard. We know all sorts of...
The cat's gone.
No!
Yeah, I mean, you didn't pay attention to it, so... What was that sound?
But wait up!
That's weird.
Didn't you have questions for us? We'd be happy to answer them.
I sense a butt.
But approaching, yes.
No, I mean, we do still need to go to the tree, but that'll take ages, right? Plenty of time to tell you all the stuff from our world. Look, ever seen a scroll before? Ooh.
Luminous rectangle. Ooh. What does this button do?
I'm seeing so many new Twitter profile pictures.
Like smiling?
Hook, line, and sinker.
How exciting. So, the old man and the boy share a body now?
I love that it...
Some uncomfortable implications. Who thought that was a helpful way to reincarnate? The same people who put a city in the sky? Oh, speaking of Atlas, did that CL girl from the Vital Festival ever come back in a notable way?
Oh my god, they did not just...
Track of... Wait, what was my original question?
Blake,
They did not just do that.
you asked about the origins of Remnant.
That's right. Woo, those two
Oh my
brothers.
goodness.
Talk about a god complex.
Wow. Wow, they did not.
Though I felt some of the character voices were a bit uninspired. Looking at you, wise huntress.
Again, it's Weiss. Just Weiss.
Apologies. To your credit, you lot certainly know more about the beginnings of Remnant than Alex did. That girl could barely see past her own nose.
Oh, what do you mean?
Oh, you know. Just hilariously concerned with
Yeah.
trivial things.
Yeah, but she learned her lesson in the end, right?
I'd certainly
Yeah.
say so. Oh, would you look at that?
Yeah, probably not in the way.
Of the garden's acre.
The garden's headed to... Or the gardens... No, the gardens are the acre they're going to.
This entire world is
Because
a bunch of mixed up puzzle
it's
pieces.
like an
How does
illuminescent
anyone
forest,
make sense
but
of this?
Each acre is made specifically for its
it's
inhabitants.
it's got like
and
plots of garden
Was
to it.
Not like that on Remnant.
No?
How strange. It never even occurred to me to ask that before.
I have a question I'd like to ask. How much longer before we're back to regular size?
Not long at all. The garden is just down this path and is sure to have all the ingredients we need for a lovely Grogurt parfait. Just don't go talking to
Grogurt.
anyone without me. If you're not careful.
We might get our heads cut off.
That is how we met, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ooh, you Remnant folk are such troublemakers.
Well, I'm sure we'll cause a lot less trouble once we're back to normal.
Yeah.
I don't see what all the fuss is about. Some of my best friends are 6 inches tall. If I were you, I'd be more worried about... Oh, who was that scary sorceress you mentioned?
Neo.
Salem. How
Salem.
many relics does she need to end the world again? How are you
Yeah.
even supposed to stop her now that Atlas is gone?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that's an answer that you can just get out of them. They didn't quite
hey,
need to hear that,
Rubes,
and they can't do anything about it right now.
maybe we shouldn't worry about home right now.
Yeah.
Enough problems to...
The cat! What?
Yeah.
No, I wasn't paying attention. Where did they go now?
Oh, this is when they're up in the tree, isn't it?
And you didn't say anything?
It was a very interesting bug.
Of all the characters from the book, why did it have to be the cat? Why couldn't we have gotten help from the lively carpenter or the rested knight? One was sweet, one was handsome, and neither of them had the attention span of a goldfish.
You know, I bet you could find a goldfish in one of these ponds.
Oh, God. Little, now's not the time.
Do you...
Please. It almost sounds like a catchy, but... it also kind of doesn't.
The garden?
Yeah.
Certainly looks like a garden.
Yeah, this is...
Where's that honey?
Because it has, like, different plots of land to it. Like, different plots of... Oh, no, this is Three Eyes. This is the caterpillar, isn't it?
I'm really tired of that question.
What question?
Yeah.
What are you?
Oh, that question. Isn't it obvious? I am an herbalist. The herbalist. At least.
Yeah.
Until I'm not anymore.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that's
Well,
that's their
question's
purpose.
answered then.
At which point
Sorry to
it
bother,
could
but,
change if it
my
is
friend said
deemed
you
to
used to know.
change.
See, we're trying to get to
Which
that
the Little
giant
still
tree,
doesn't
but
have their first one.
Cling to the tree.
Yeah, you don't
Yes.
do that.
Everyone needs help these days. Everyone.
I love their voice acting. Oh, this is... Yeah, this is one of the shots that we saw in a trailer. Had no idea what part of the world it was in.
Are you coming in or aren't you?
Yeah.
can make us a Grogurt parfait, right?
Or 3. Maybe 3 of them.
I must say, you all seem a bit hesitant. What did you say you were again?
Humans?
We're huntresses.
Huntresses?
And what exactly does a huntress do?
Yeah, they think about it in
Hunters, I guess-
purpose. They
I'm
took
sorry, I
in
don't
terms of
understand why this
purpose.
matters.
I don't understand how you don't understand.
Yeah.
I am an herbalist. I make medicines and remedies to help others on their journeys. It is what I am. So, do you know what a huntress is, or do you guess?
Huntresses are heroes. We protect those who can't protect themselves.
Thank you. Now, would
Yeah.
you say that you're good huntresses?
Yeah, that's the
Can you
part
help
where
us or not?
I am trying. But
They-
you are making this
they
far
need
more
this
complicated
information
than
in
it needs
order
to be.
to
We all
help
have our titles,
Team RWBY.
our roles to play. But in order to help you become whatever it is you need to become, you should really have a better understanding of what you are now.
Because everything happens in terms of purpose
How
in
do
the
we
Ever
open
After.
Mushroom door.
This is how a king winds up a prince. Follow me.
Wait,
My work is never done.
did they just insinuate that the prince used to be the like that it wasn't a different person, but in fact the same person? Oh god. So this is like the psychiatrist's office. And this is the smoke, so this is where we're going to get...
Take a seat.
Actually,
They're gonna
I
start
think
seeing some
maybe we
things.
should be going.
Oh no.
This won't take long. Just answer the questions.
Yeah, they gotta confront themselves if they're going to... And they've already started making Team RWBY confront themselves. Oh god. Hoo, 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 hoo.
Are you sure you know?
Oh, I knew this scene was coming.
And of what you're going to be?
Blake,
Wait, oh no. Wait, hold on a second. This is starting to look like Blake and Yang's shots in the trailer too. Oh god.
You don't have to go forward, you know. You could go back. Back to before. What? What are you talking about? It's simple, really. You could just be human. Or just a cat, if you wanted. Really, it's up to you.
Yeah, this is an establishment of
Like
purpose.
I said, it's simple. Much simpler than trying to be a bridge between humans and faunus. Why struggle with that responsibility?
The Schnee name. Why bother anymore? What does it even stand for now? Instead, you could be a nobody. Could you imagine? Not a single bit of baggage upon your shoulders. Isn't that what you want?
Yeah,
To be
there
free?
are
To be
different
something
ways.
simpler. To be whole again? No.
There are easier
My
ways to go.
losses,
Or
my
there are.
failures, those
It's a
were
difficult path,
everything,
but
are what have shaped me into who I am. Showed me
this
how I need to
is
grow. If there's something
P5R
missing,
third
it's not because I've
semester
lost it. It's 'cause I haven't
vibes.
found it yet. And the only way to do that is to keep going.
A simple life wouldn't be my life. My family, my friends, my culture. I belong to them just as much as they belong to me. To give that all away
Yeah.
wouldn't be simplicity. It would be betrayal.
I don't know who you think you are, but let me tell you who I am. I am the granddaughter of a hero and the child of a villain. I am a citizen of a
Yeah.
fallen kingdom and an heir to nothing. I will not be defined by my name because I will be the one to define it. I am Weiss, and I am a huntress.
I
Let's
am a
go.
huntress.
I am a huntress.
And then there's Ruby,
So,
who was never asked that question.
like the ones you
From-
read about in books?
Port, or Oobleck in Volume 2, Mountain Glen.
I don't know.
It's going to be a lot more difficult for
They
her,
always saved the day, didn't they?
because
Always knew what to do.
she's never
Won in the end.
felt like she's lived up to
Life is
that.
That's right. It's up to you to make things better, isn't it? Everything all depends on you. Your sister needs you. Your
The
friends
badge and the
need you.
burden.
The whole world needs you to keep fighting forever and ever.
And
Against an invincible monster
shove
that
your
will
feelings into a little bottle.
Mom was the best. But even she failed.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem fair. None of this seems fair. What am I supposed to do? You can do whatever you want. Be whoever you want. You don't even have to be Ruby Rose.
And she's a little bit more willing to take them up on that.
What are you gonna be?
Get away from her!
Nice. All right.
Oh my, that's a bit much.
Oh, Herb, look at yourself. You're done. You're supposed to be helping others find their way, but you've lost your own. Please, let me help. And take a little bit of my heart.
Hey,
Feel much better.
this is gonna.
I do apologize.
That's gonna keep happening.
Always was a bit of a workaholic. Huntresses, was it? Peculiar things.
What did they just do? Why did they just?
Oh, I found the cat.
Yeah, didn't ya? How? Oh, that's it? Oh my god. Great episode, but like, I'm getting a little miffed at how much of the trailers were shown in comparison. Okay, Herbalist, Christopher Guerrero. Does he? I feel like I've seen that name before. Tiny Weiss, Tiny Yang, and Tiny Blake. I guess it's another role for IMDb. I voiced both Tiny Weiss and regular-sized Weiss this volume. This episode as well was called A Cat Most Curious. Good alliteration there. So here's the thing. In Volume 8, there's 14 chapters, and each of them are this long or longer. And the trailers for Volume 8, if I'm not mistaken, only go up to, like, Chapter 3. So by the time you hit Chapter 4, all of it is new. And here we are, in Chapter 4 of 10. And there's still so much that, like, we already know about kind of the general vibe heading into Chapter 5 when there's only 10 episodes. And I guess part of that is, like, well, this would be a lot easier if there weren't 2 years of downtime between volumes 8 and 9, and they didn't need to put as much promotional material forward. So I kind of get it, and it's like, ultimately it's not a complaint, it's just a, well, this is where we are type thing. And we didn't see any of Sean or any of Neo. There was a freaking Ciel Soleil reference, which I'm gonna look at so many different reactions to see how that turns out. In reality, I've always been the person that Ciel did not need to come back in any meaningful way at all. And in any way, her absence was purposely her absence did more for volumes 7 and 8 than her presence would have. And I'm not capping at all, because it adds to Penny's burdens under Ironwood. That is something that she had at one point, but a level of control was taken away from her. She's under Ironwood, she's under Pietro, she's under the Hack, she's under, like, all these things. That's one more thing that was removed from her. So I feel like her absence did more for RWBY than her presence ever could have. And they could have made her something else. They absolutely could have, but, like, whatever it would have been, like, I don't care to know, because I don't think it's necessary at all. The only thing the Cheshire Cat could have said to make it worse is asking Weiss about time dilation. So we don't know exactly how much there is to the fairy tale. We don't know exactly how many different acres we're supposed to get to. We don't know how much of that there's going to be. And there is a sort of like one new acre per episode feel, where every episode is set and contained in a specific location within the Ever After, and I do appreciate that, and there is this sense of moving forward. But it's almost kind of like, if you don't know where the end point is, you can't tell how much those incremental movements are really doing. And I'm almost kind of getting to the point where I do think a turning point is coming soon. There's enough character work happening right now, and especially with this episode, there's so much character work happening. But I'm almost kind of wondering, like, I said at the beginning of this that I wasn't expecting a turning point to happen in this episode. And I'm kind of hoping now after this that it does happen sooner than later, because I do feel like enough has happened and enough is needed. And Team RWBY's they're not big yet. They're still tiny, you know? So I do appreciate how much these episodes are self-contained, but at the same time, I do feel like there is another layer to the volume that we haven't gotten to yet that is going to define what the rest of the volume is. I do think that there kind of needs to be a turning point, because to me, you can't go into a place as bonkers as the Ever After and not have something incredibly different about it, in a way that is incredibly different from even what they thought they were going to get when they came in. That's kind of why I said Alex is still around, or Alex is going to be able to impact their journey in a very meaningful way. That's the kind of thing that I'm looking to get out of Volume 9, and at this rate, it's kind of like I don't feel any closer to that. But RWBY's just spent this whole episode getting confronted by exactly what her image of her purpose of a huntress is, and how much she doesn't live up to that even still. So yeah, it's like we are getting that. We are getting an incredible amount of focus on RWBY. And as much as Weiss, Blake, and Yang very much in that scene are living up to what the intro shows of, it's kind of like it's getting brighter, their emblems are glowing as they get closer to where they are now, as in like these are the more fully realized versions of these characters, and RWBY is going backwards. And RWBY is closing herself off. So we did definitely very, very much see that in this episode. We're gonna get more of that. I almost thought for a bit in the smoke that the smoke was looking a lot more like the clouds that Blake and Yang are in the trailer. But there is, of course, the bridge setting that takes place in. Even though it's smoke, it's not clouds. So there is that as well. And that is something that we do still need to get, and I am expecting that in either episodes 5 or 6, because there's just so much that we've already seen that I don't feel like we really should have seen, as cool as it is. how there are so many very, very, very different settings, and we are seeing so much new, weird, wild stuff every freaking episode. It's kind of getting to a point where it's like, I am getting a little bit more impatient for the turn. Where is the turning point? How is the rest of the volume going to be defined? Those are the questions that I'm looking for answers to. And I don't want to say that in a way that is like, I'm not appreciative of what's already been here, because I love this show. This is the kind of volume, I'm going to point to these posters every reaction video in terms of, here's what I know this can live up to, and I'm very, very excited for Volume 9 because it looks more like these, but it's not quite there yet. I'm just like, that's, again, as much as I'm sure a lot of you were tired of hearing that from me so much, that's where I'm at, and I'm gonna reinforce that until it's no longer a valid thing that needs reinforcing. Alright, so as much as we saw Ruby in the trailer with her former self, it was great to also then see Weiss, Blake, and Yang in those scenes individually saying how much they have grown and how they are not who they used to be, and it is worthless to go back to those people, even though Ruby didn't share those same sentiments. I want to touch back again on this idea of purpose, so the herbalist is giving them a chance to reflect on what it means to be a huntress by giving them a chance to meet their former selves when they were at the start of that journey, and basically confronting their past in everywhere that they've been since they were these people as well. So I really do appreciate that. Again, this is the kind of thing that I want the island to keep doing. I keep calling it the island, which is, it's the ever after. There's a lot more to it than an island. But the important thing here is that, like, just because this sort of thing happened because of a trip, that doesn't necessarily mean that this sort of character work hasn't been happening and can't happen again, right? Even if they're not going to physically confront their former selves, this is something that they've been doing mentally the whole time, and that Ruby's going to continue to do, and they've actually manifested it physically with this kind of shot. So we are at this point now of Ruby, Weiss, Blake, and Yang having been confronted by their pasts, and for Weiss, Blake, and Yang kind of disowning that, completely going against what they were hearing, but Ruby's not so sure, and Ruby has to be snapped out of it. And that's going to continue. By the nature of the Curious Cat cutting it short, that is going to define Ruby's character arc further than just now, because she didn't get the chance to really properly respond. She is still going to ruminate in this for quite a while. And that's what Volume 9 is. It's like beating Ruby over the head with character development until she breaks. She's kind of there, but I am kind of waiting for a moment of her vocalizing that, of her vocalizing where she is, because she was being confronted by all this, and she didn't have a proper putting my foot down response. She was a little too into it. I'm recording this a few days after watching the episode itself. I've had time to let it settle, ruminate, think on it. The most memorable part of the episode is the ending, with Team RWBY in the smoke, but most of the episode is with the Curious Cat on the way there, and it was only when I was rewatching the episode that I really remember, like, wait, most of this is not even in that Enchanted Forest section. Most of this isn't even in the garden, as they call it. If it feels like this episode wasn't getting anywhere, it's because it was laying the groundwork. It was planting what other episodes will pay off so that future episodes will get somewhere, as you might think. And in more ways than we can know right now. We don't know exactly what it's planting. We don't have all of that information yet, but I can guarantee you that the long walk at the start of the episode with the Curious Cat planted a lot more than we can even realize. It looked like it was just lampshading common misguided criticisms that the show has, but the episode wouldn't spend half of its time with the Curious Cat chasing butterflies if it were not important. The fact that the cat was chasing yellow butterflies and that a blue one was following Team RWBY in episode 3, like, that's important. And dare I say it as well, the fact that Ciel Soleil was mentioned is important, or at least we need to consider that it could be. I just got done slandering Ciel's character in my reaction video. And here I am saying that we need to think about it. We are being forced to consider that her character may be important some way later on. We cannot ignore that. As an audience, now that it's been put in front of us, it could have been a throwaway line. It could have been, and I would rather think of it that way. I really would. But we also have to understand that it could be planting something at the same time. And the more that I thought about it, Ciel was only relevant in one scene in Volume 3, Chapter 5, where she's standing there as Penny completely demolishes Team Cardinal, and then she's also there established as a character who's meant to keep Penny on task and not wander in unnecessary places as well. The important thing about that is that if you understand what that means that Ciel as a character is only tied to Penny. And this volume is meant to kick Ruby while she is down. So references to Penny are a great way to do that. Consider this, I guess, a part 2 to the theory video that I made at the start of Volume 9, that Alex never left the Ever After. Or at least you can consider this as kind of an addendum. In Chapter 4, Blake said that Alex had returned to Remnant, and that she herself wrote the children's book about her travels in the Ever After. And again, I don't believe that's the case. I don't think that Alex is truly 100% gone, and not even just in the sense of that her consequences remain, but that a part of Alex remains in some way. So to me, it's that either Alex was caught in some loop and she never actually returned, but someone else, like maybe Oz, an incarnation of Oz did, and he erased himself from the story so that it would seem like it was only Alex the whole time, or a part of Alex herself had to stay behind, perpetually stuck. Maybe she doesn't age, or maybe she's stuck in some kind of loop. And essentially, it's not some vague natural force of the Ever After that is forcing Team RWBY to be on this journey. That it is particularly some form of Alex doing that. Because the only character that I can see forcing Team RWBY to take Alex's path is Alex herself. It says something about me that I typically don't make theory videos. Like, I don't. I'm never invested enough in a story to put enough effort in to make a video about a theory. But Alex presents a ton of possibilities that I just can't stop thinking about. That Alex could take this plot in so many different directions. And I've never been more interested in or more hyped for a character than Alex. And something else that I didn't talk about in the reaction is the one thing that Chapter 4 planted more than any other chapter has planted so far, though every other chapter has touched on this, is the Ever After's idea of purpose. The Curious Cat calls Weiss the Wise Huntress, because characters in the Ever After think about everything in terms of their purpose. That is just some unique, unalienable thing about the Ever After, is everything has a purpose. Even the world itself, right? The Curious Cat also says that every region is constructed or made in line to coincide with the purposes of those who live there. The herbalist got mad that Team RWBY wasn't thinking about things in terms of purpose, because again, that's how everybody in the Ever After thinks. The herbalist's purpose is partly to help people find their purpose. So they force Team RWBY to confront their purposes that they used to think they had at one point. They are forced to confront the earlier versions of themselves and how they match up with what they used to think. Weiss, Blake, and Yang easily denounce those because that's the point they're on in their journeys. They don't think twice. That's kind of the point. Because RWBY does think twice. It's to juxtapose the rest of Team RWBY with RWBY herself, because RWBY's burdens are laid bare in front of her. I didn't react too strongly in the moment to these scenes, partly because I was low on energy at the time, partly because I was also analyzing the writing choice itself just as much as I was analyzing the scene and what the characters were saying. But that scene, all of these scenes, with RWBY confronting their former selves, it's really stuck with me over time. I've loved the Volume 2 Mountain Glen arc, and this is a direct callback to it. Like, it directly calls back to every character in that arc and what they were saying around the campfire, or what RWBY was saying to Oobleck, what Oobleck was saying to RWBY as well. And the vision of younger RWBY said everything that it needed to say to keep RWBY on her downward spiral that was already, even earlier on in the chapter, was already happening, right? The cat was already asking questions. RWBY was already dissociating from the downward spiral that she was already on, and the cat was already making it even worse by asking all of these pointed questions about how much Team RWBY has failed. In short, this episode was not boring at all. It was simply dedicated to setting up more things for the rest of the volume to play with and pay off. And so much of it is stuck with me. When I first watched the episode, I wasn't entirely too keen on it, but it's only gotten a lot better in the time that I've had to really think about it more and more. At the moment, I personally would rank Chapter 4 as my favorite of the volume. And each chapter's only gotten better and built more off of the previous ones. So, like, personally, for me, it's Chapter 4 at the top, then Chapter 2, then Chapter 3, then Chapter 1. So as much as I've said, like, the episodes have gotten better, Chapter 3 is kind of lower because it doesn't have as much character focus in it as much as it has, like, action. And it does move the plot along, but I really do value character focus over action, so it's just lower for me. And I loved how Chapter 2 was setting things up as well, so Chapter 2 is a little higher than that. And that about does it. Stick around for each reaction and review, because with every reaction video that I put out, I have stuff in the beginning and at the end to review what's come before, and then review what each new episode brings as well. Like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. I'm Raijin Rising. Have a good one.